Tuia, ui a mai rā tātou, koutou e ngā iwi, e te unga wakarongo mai ana I roto I tēnei pō, tēnei kāmi I atu, tēnā koutou, kia ora katoa tātou. Kia ora everybody, Che Wilson here from Te Pai Pai Waho, connecting to you tonight through a number of platforms. And as we wait for people to link back in, it's been a couple of weeks. I had a bit of a break and have enjoyed the school holidays. And yeah, hope you're all well. But tonight's kaupapa that we're going to be covering is tikanga. And basically, when you go somewhere else, what's the tikanga for that place or for that marae? And I'm mindful that people are always wondering when they go somewhere, oh, what's the name of the hapu? What's the name of the marae? And oh, what's the tikanga there? So that's what we're going to talk about. In addition to that, there will be times when I talk about places that I'm not from, and I'll make that really clear. But the first kaupapa I'm going to talk about is my home, the rohe of Whanganui, and we'll get into that soon. Hoi anō, e mihi atu ana kia koutou, I roto I tēnei pō, kia ora Chris. O tira e tangi ana ki o tātou mate, kei te tuakana City Boy, ko koe tēnei waka oki atu, ki te iwi nui I te rāwiki, tatu atu kia koe James, e takoto atu nā ki te puka ki raiti I tēnei pō. E moe, oki kōrua, koutou ki te pō, tātou e takatū nei e kimi nei te ora, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou. Tēnā tātou, me te rā wairua a te oetu mārama, I te tuki pai I rānana I te rāwiki, me ngā kaupapa maa, kei a koutou, kei a tātou. So, let's get into it. So what's the tikanga at that marae? What's the tikanga of that place? And the place we're going to talk about tonight is Whanganui. And so in a really basic sense, the tikanga, the kaua of the marae is paeke. And paeke will be expressed in different ways in different places, but generally paeke being home people speak, finish, visitors speak, finish, shake hands. In Whanganui, paeke is usually conducted, or the whole pōhiri process is usually conducted outside. Occasionally at the odd marae, it will go inside, usually if it's wet, but otherwise some marae, even when it is wet, will still hold everything outside. Some iwi are quite strict on tuakana teina. As a general note in Whanganui, today, and like for the last 30 years, the tuakana teina rules that are still strictly adhered to in some places haven't really been issue in Whanganui. I know growing up, my koros, hi mum, my koros would speak, and including the youngest koro, he had his older brother still alive, would speak, and then even my uncles, they would speak even though their older brothers were alive too. And not just at my marae, but at marae throughout the rohe. Oh, hi cousin. And so they would do that, and the tuakana teina thing wasn't really a strict rule at home that I remember. One thing I was taught, which isn't really practiced anymore, but was taught it, that when the tuakana and teina are both there, and they're both going to speak because it's a big ope, and so you have a number of speakers to acknowledge the mana of the kaupapa, the tuakana would speak first outside and the teina finishes. And then when you go inside to do the mihi inside, whether that's straight after the pōhiri or at karakia that night, the teina then speaks after karakia first, then the tuakana finishes. So that used to be a practice around tuakana and teina in Whanganui that I was taught, but we don't really practice that. We will usually just, oh well, Mau pēr te kōrero. Or whoever's got the kōrero for the kaupapa and manuhiri will go, oh, well, kei a koe. You will also find that in Whanganui, we will pōhiri, we will do a karanga. So our word for karanga is pōhiri. And so we will pōhiri to the koha. And when the men go out and pick up the koha, 9 times out of 10, we don't speak. Simply because the speaking has been done through the woman's karanga. And generally, our pōhiri will have, our women will pōhiri quite a lot. There's a lot of instances where they will pōhiri. And Whanganui and Waikato or Tainui are quite well known for our women doing a lot of pōhiri. And I love it myself. It's what I'm used to. And so whenever, especially at Tangi, there are a lot of times for the women to do their pōhiri. In addition to that, you'll find Whanganui people may do their pōhiri first when they're going on to a tangi before the homeside has even called them on. And some tribes will find that offensive, but the Whanganui thinking behind that is nā te mate I karanga, mā te manuhiri e whakautu. And so because it's the mate that called them there, they're responding directly to the mate's call. And some won't, some will wait. But, you know, just sharing some of the different practices to be mindful of, because you may go on to a Whanganui marae during the tangi with other Whanganui people, and the Whanganui people may, not always, but may, do a pōhiri before the homeside's even done theirs. And then you go, oh, we haven't been called on yet. But that's why. Another thing that you'll find is that sometimes our kuia will do a pōhiri either just outside of the waharoa or at their car, which informs the haukainga that somebody's arrived or that they're ready. And that pōhiri is usually a mihi to the Aotearoa. What are some other things about home before we get into tangihanga? I think the other thing that's really important is that when we go and shake hands at any hui, whether that's a hui ora or a hui mate, is when the manuhiri come over to hariru to come and shake hands, you'll hear our women pōhiri again. And that's simply because our women start the process and they must close the process, which is why it's called a pōhiri, because the women do the pōhiri to open it and the women do the pōhiri to close it. So that's some peculiarities in Whanganui. When it comes to our tangihanga, I thought I'd share a bit about this because it's really important because it's quite different. And tikanga Whanganui is its general term that it's referred to as. And basically, at a tangihanga, what happens is it's paeke reversed. So you go onto the marae, you do your thing, and when you go onto the marae, for a hui ora, you go right on halfway if you want. You can actually go on as far as you want. A lot of people tend to wakaeke not onto the marae, they wakaeke to the chairs, which is real dumb. And I say it's dumb because you're supposed to go and wakaeke in front of the house so that you can mihi the house, not mihi the chairs. You know, and if you think about it, we never had chairs. And so it's a modern adaptation, but we've given mana to these chairs. Which leads me to another point that some people really struggle and will say that there is tikanga. No, you, yes, nice, Mr. Taho, exactly. You go onto the marae, and especially during the tangihanga, ki te whakakanohi te aroha. Don't just leave your aroha at the chair, go right onto the marae and go up close so that you can at least see the casket. Ki te waka kano I te aroa. So yeah, there's all these different things that happen, and then people make these rules. No, you're not allowed to walk in front of the paipai. My aunties and my queers always walked in front of the paipai. When they were singing their song, it was their domain. They had the marae. All of this emphasis, no, you don't takahi the men, I think it's just Pākehā stuff that's come from the church. And that the priest is holy. Well, we're a paipai, we're not the priest. And I think we've just mixed up a whole lot of stuff. And so you'll see it at Tūranga Waiwa all the time. Some iwi are really comfortable to just walk on and use the whole marae because you're allowed to. Some will just stay over in the corner because they don't want to takahi the paipai and walk in front of it. Kei tēnā. To each their own. But I was always taught, and my kuia would always use the marae because when they're singing, they are carrying the voice of the marae at that time. Coming back to Whanganui tikanga around the mate. So as I said, we're the complete opposite. And so tikanga Whanganui is you go on, you do your thing, then you take your seat. It's the manuhiri that speak first when the body is lying in state. It's the manuhiri that speak first, and for many, they struggle with that. But our reasoning is that nā te mate I karanga, mā te manuhiri e whakautu I te karanga o te mate. And so it's the dead that have called the hui, or the deceased that's called the hui, and your job is to respond directly to them. And don't worry if you don't know the haukainga, because your role is to mihi to that tūpāpaku. And by mihing to that tūpāpaku, you mihi to us. A good manuhiri, however, a good haukainga, however, will send a keka out. And our word is keka, and the keka is that takawainga that goes out from the paipai to inform the manuhiri that the tikanga of the marae is that the manuhiri speak first. And so we should always encourage somebody to go out as a keka and go and talk to the manuhiri. Other tribes may have different words for that. Kei tēnā, kei tēnā, kei tēnā. And then once the manuhiri have finished all of their kōrero, you then hand it back to the home side, and it's our role to then mihi the manuhiri and be the voice for the deceased. Therefore, in good whanganui tikanga, the haukainga shouldn't be doing a very long speech, a very long mihi at all to the tūpāpaku. It should be short because they are the voice of that tūpāpaku to mihi, the manuhiri that have come from a long way or from a short way. Either way, it's to acknowledge them and lift them up, and then tui, join and connect them. Even if you've never met them, but if they say something that you can connect to, then you hitch that to your post to connect them and join them. So yeah, just thought I'd start off by sharing this, and then next week I'll go to a different iwi and we'll talk about that and work through the process from there. I know in parts of Whanganui, we will allow manuhiri to come on at night if they're close family. Otherwise, it's always good to be a good manuhiri and get there in good time, because some tribes won't welcome at night and some tribes won't karanga at night. However, other tribes, like up north, which we'll talk about at some stage, their doors are open 24/7. One final thing, you'll find that we're starting at home to follow what's happened from COVID and have set times. I myself am a big supporter of having set times to come on, and you're not going to stop the 1 or 3 people that arrive just randomly, because you can just call them on. But it's nice to have some set times so that the pie and kitchen can be organised and be ready to have our manuhiri cared for in the proper way. So katiake, you'll notice with the tangihanga, I did say when the body is lying in state. So if you get there before the body's arrived, it will be paeke normal. Or you'll just go on, because if you want to be there to help, then you just go on and you hariru, go straight to hariru, because you're wanting to be there on the home side to help. And then the hau kainga, if they're thinking, because I've done the mistake myself and not thought, will give you a chance to speak when the body comes on. And then at an unveiling, that's a hui ora. It's something created by the hunga ora in memory of the two pāpaku. So it's just normal paeke. So that's a bit about Whanganui and more about other tribes as we go on. So katiake. E me I kauatu ana kia koutou, shustak. Tēnā koutou, rire au, pai mārire a pō mārire.